What is up, everybody? This is Eric, the one and only barrier collector, and today I will be bringing you my March 2022 video game haul. Now this month, like always, like I've mentioned before, March is my birthday month, so pretty much I got quite a bunch of things this month compared to the previous month. Excuse me. But first and foremost, let me start with the digital downloads of the games, and I got a couple for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. First one that I got is a Knight's Quest. This is for the PS4 digital download, and it's basically a game that's very similar to like Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask and whatnot in that style. But it's a pretty cool RPG, action RPG. The next one that I got is Violetti Guti. I don't know, it was very cheap. It was like 49 cents, and it's basically like a 2D side scrolling platformer. Not very much about what this game's about, but it was on sale and it was cheap. Now this one right here, this one with the tentacle, is basically the Day of the Tentacle remastered. Now this particular game is a game that I've been keeping my eye out for a long time, because it's basically part 2 of a favorite game of mine for the Nintendo, Maniac Mansion. And I never knew that there was a part 2, but it came out on PC many years back, and they made a remaster, but this game was never going on sale until finally it did for the PS4, and I bought it. And so I'm looking forward to this one. This is one that I want to, that's on my bucket list to play. The next one is Glittering Sword, which is actually a, it's a 2D, no, it's not a 2D, it's an overhead style, like Legend of Zelda, classic Zelda style RPG, action RPG game. Looks pretty interesting, and I got it, you know, I like those type of games. Next one, this one is a 2D side scrolling platformer called Crossbow Crusade, sorry, and it's basically very similar to a 2D side scrolling platformer. Has elements that remind me a lot of the Castlevania style games, so this one looks pretty interesting. Another 2D side scrolling platformer is Spelunky. This one is very similar. If you guys play like Super Pitfall, or I believe they made it for the Nintendo, Spelunky, I can't remember, but it's a 2D side scrolling platformer, and it has like endless dungeons, so yeah. And then this next one, another game that I've been wanting to play for a long time, but it's a game too expensive to own physically, but it was going really cheap, you know, digitally, and that's Psychonauts. This one was a game that originally came out on the PS2. It's a adventure 3D platformer. Very popular game. I remember back in the days. I remember this game back in the days. So it's become really hard to get, or very expensive to own, so I got it digitally. Another game that looks very interesting, Clash Force. This one is a 2D side-scrolling platformer, very similar to the Mega Man games. It looked really fun when I got it, and it caught my son's eye, so yeah. And then the next one, Planet of the Eyes. Now that one, I actually, it's another 2D side-scrolling platformer, another interesting style game. Kind of reminds me of those games like the Journey of the Broken Circle and whatnot. It's about a little robot who gets stranded, so very interesting. But anyways, those are the digital downloads for the PS4, PS5. Let me go take you to the table and I show you the Nintendo Switch downloads. So give me 1 second as I go to the table. Let me go. Ah, here we are. Ooh, there we are. Focus now, focus. Oh, there goes all the troll buddies. Yeah. Okay. So, here we go. Here are the Nintendo digital downloads. Now, got a couple because my son was still wasting his money on you know, getting some games. So, first and foremost, what we got here, My Coloring Book. Sorry for the light. I'm trying to get focused. There you go. My Coloring Book, which is just a coloring book for kids. He got it for pretty cheap. Next one that was pretty cheap is Pocket Mini Golf. This game's fun. I played this one and I had a lot of fun. Basically a simple mini golf game. Next one I got is Pop Blocks. Very similar to those games you get on the iPad that are just, you know, or on your phone that you just pop the blocks and whatnot. Really fun. Another game that he got, Puzzle Book, you know, because my kid likes puzzles, so he got that one. And then he also got this one, Smash Star. This one is a 2D platformer. Very interesting game. Reminds me of those style games like Wonder Boy. Not quite in the vein of Wonder Boy, but it's very interesting. So yeah, Cuphead I already had. So let me go back up here, and also Undertale. I'm playing that one too. Cooking Tycoon 3-in-1 bundle. Got this one for my girlfriend because officially she now bought a Switch. She bought the OLED, the OLED, the bigger screen Switch. And I bought this game for her. Was going on sale because she loves these cooking games, and she's hooked on it right now, you guys. So yeah, really fun game, cooking game. Another game that's from the iPad that I thought was really fun was Hungry Shark World. Got this one for my son, although he has it on his iPad. I was playing this this weekend at my parents' house. It's a really fun game. You just become a shark and just eat everything in sight. And then this is this one Inukari Chase of the Deception. It's a 2D side-scrolling platformer. Caught my eye, looked very interesting. It's a new release that just came out in the store. So yeah, let's see how it goes. And then I got Roar. Well, my son got it. It's a pretty much like a 3D beat 'em up. Like you go smashing around things like a dinosaur. Kind of reminds me of a Rampage or King of the Monsters, actually, from the Super Nintendo. It looks like it, but it looks really fun. And then finally, Unrailed. My son really liked this one. This one was one that I had for a while, and it went on sale. Believe it or not, I was gonna buy it. I was so close on buying a physical copy of this game, and luckily that evening I held off because I was looking at something later on in this review. I'll explain, you know, what happened. But anyways, to make a long story short, you know, I decided to wait, and this went on sale, and my son loved it, and so even my girlfriend thought it was pretty cool. So it's a railroad game where you build railroads, and your goal is to make it to the other end of the screen and make sure that the train doesn't derail. So it looks pretty interesting. But yeah, and those are my digital downloads. Like, on now with the physical copies. Beginning of the month of March, I bought this one online, X-Men, for the NES. Now LJN bound. They say that this one's not a great game. I played it very little many years back. Not quite to tell you whether it was good or not, but I like X-Men, and you know, I thought it was something, you know, since I'm collecting it. By the way, I bought a lot of Nintendo games this month, but yeah, I figured I'd get it. It was going for really cheap, you know, won the bid and I got it. Next one, another bid that I won for another one for the collection for the Wii U is How to Train Your Dragon 2. This one is a game that was going for really cheap, and now it's going more expensive. Believe it or not, I got this one for rather cheap. And I'm almost done, you guys, on collecting almost all of the US released Wii U games. I only got a couple left, but a lot of them are the expensive ones, so I gotta kind of be wise on how I spend the money. There's a couple that are cheaper, but a couple that are expensive. But moving right along, another Nintendo game that I played back when I was a kid, Legend of Cage, really fun arcade game. Action 2D side scroller. Interestingly, this game has a sequel for the DS. I believe it's a DS or 3DS. I'm not sure. It wasn't that great, but this one's really fun. But yeah. Okay, speaking of these guys right here, this is one of two. Super Troll Islands for the Super Nintendo. This is a game I used to own when I was a kid, and believe me, it was a game that I wasn't too fond of, but I want to give it another shot. I never passed it, so yeah, and being there's a story behind, you know, this, so yeah. Super Troll Islands. It's a 2D puzzle side-scrolling platformer where you have to turn, everything is gray and you have to put color in the level. Yeah. And then another one, this is a rail shooter that for the Nintendo 64 that I wanted to get for a while. If you guys can read it, it's Knife's Edge or Knife Edge for the N64. It's a rail shooter. Very interesting game that it caught my eye that I wanted to play. So hopefully we'll see how this one goes. I need to play some N64 games. But yeah, but moving right along, Got a couple of reproduction games. This is the first one that I was looking for a really long time. Found it super cheap because nowadays even the repro for this game is going expensive. Way back in the days I used to own it, and that is Ninja Gaiden Trilogy for the Super Nintendo. I love the way they made the plastic. Although I bought it without the label, I had to buy the label separate. Believe it or not, this is a high quality repro because it works. It works on my Retron 5. It shows as unreadable, like unknown, but you can play the game perfectly fine. The only thing is I won't be able to use cheats on it, but it works. And I kind of consider those high quality repros. Went for really cheap, took advantage of it because even a reproduction of this game is going expensive. This is a game that's too expensive to own. And believe me, this is something that you might want to get if it's a repro. Or that's like a hair. Ew. Yeah, but anyways, or something, or a string. Anyways, yeah, I'm glad I got it even if it's a repro. Now the next set of games that I got, some of these games I got because I used to own them. Some of them I bought because I want to play them. But first of all, Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle for the Game Boy. Got really pissed off because if you notice right here, the game was excellent, but it came broken. Fortunately, yeah, the way that the idiot who sold it to me, he freaking shipped it on a regular envelope. Not a padded envelope, just in an envelope. I got really pissed off, but because I didn't pay a lot of money for it, and I know the game wasn't broken because the pictures, you could tell the original pictures didn't show it broken, but I crazy glued it, but it's okay. It holds off and it didn't damage the label. It's just the bottom part, and it works and it plays. So yeah, really fun Game Boy game. And the next one that I got is Crazy Castle 3. This one I've never played. I've played part 2. I own part 2 for the Game Boy. Part 3 I haven't played it. There's the latter ones. There's a 4 and a 5. But yeah, got part 3. A really fun game. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? As you can see, I love Roger Rabbit for the Game Boy. Now, interesting story between all these games, Crazy Castle, and there's later down the line I'm gonna make a video regarding Crazy Castle eventually, real soon. I love that game, and there's a link between Roger Rabbit and Crazy Castle. But yeah, this Roger Rabbit game is much funner than the Nintendo version of it. Although I like the Nintendo version a lot, this is much funner, and it goes by levels rather than an overhead map. So it's fairly different and much more polished than the Nintendo version of it. And then this one I never knew about until a while back. Tiny Toons Bab's Big Break for the Game Boy. It has the cheat codes. This one it interested me because now you control Babs, and yeah, I've never really played this one. It's a platformer, so I want to find out to see what it is. And then the other one that I got, yeah, Crazy Castle 4, and it came complete with the manual. This I never played, so we're about to find out what it's all about. There is a Crazy Castle 5. But that one is with Woody Woodpecker. This whole Crazy Castle series has a crazy story, no pun intended, regarding the history of these games. So it's a very interesting thing, and that's why I got them. Not only because I like that Crazy Castle series, but to talk about later in future videos. This next one, I never knew that this was different than the Genesis version, and that is Aladdin for the SNES. This game, thanks to Steve, aka the Alpha Nerd, he was doing a gameplay of this one, and I remember I'm like, whoa, this game is different than the Genesis. And yeah, even the Sega Master System version is kind of like a Prince of Persia style game. I don't know if this one is. I can't remember from his gameplay because he did it a while back. So a big shout out to Steve, you know, aka the Alpha Nerd. He's the one who turned me in on this game. And yeah, for a while this is a game that it goes for more money or less. Got it for a really good deal. As you can see, the game's a little okay, but front label, everything looks pretty good after all, so I can't wait to play this one. The Sega Master System version is really fun. This next one is a game from my childhood that I've always wanted to beat, never really got into. I used to own it, but I never beat it, and that is Boulder Dash for the NES. Brings back a lot of memories, you guys. This is a special game in itself that I played it. I regret letting go of it and not finishing it, but yeah, it's a puzzle game, platformer, really fun. This one, well, I got because I wanted to complete the series, and that's Wizards and Warriors, the original Wizards and Warriors. Out of the three, this one's pretty fun. I like, they're all good. Part 3 is the hardest. I still haven't, I need to pass that one, but I haven't played it. But very interesting game series. Fun though, interesting. Part 2 is the one that I like the most. But yeah, this other one, very rare that I buy this, and this is a PC game that I've always wanted to play since I knew about it, and that game is this one. It is, if you can see the emblem, it is Messiah for the PC. Believe it or not, Messiah was a game that was supposed to come out in the PS1 and other consoles, but it got pulled, and it ended up coming out only in the PC. I remember that for many years oh, and by the way, this is a 3D platformer, like a shooter or a platformer game. I really want to play this one, but you're basically a little cherub that's sent by God to defeat some evil corporation, and you can take over bodies and be able to do your bidding. This game was supposed to come out on the PS1, never did. Only on the PC. Spent many a year looking for this game until finally I learned that. In many of the PS1 booklets, they used to have they used to advertise that game, and it always made me curious. And then this other game I used to play when I was a kid. Loved the series when I was a kid. Who didn't? That is Knight Rider for the NES. Won a bid for super cheap. This game is going for a little bit more expensive. It's not an expensive game to own yet, but is rising up in price. It's based on the 80s cult series that of the talking car Kit with Michael Knight, aka the Knight Rider. Fun game. It's basically a driving game, like a shooter, I believe. Driving game. Fun. It used to be fun. I used to have fun when I played it when I was a kid. Now, so I mentioned for my birthday, I received a couple of games for my birthday. Let me see. First one, this one, I want to thank my, I can't even talk. I want to thank my girlfriend, of course, with these, and my kids. And this one, my girlfriend's mom, Irma, pitched in for it, and that is Funky Barn for the Wii U. Sorry, this game is a game that's expensive to own, but I guess they saw a cheaper. It went off for a really cheap price. It's not common for this game to go that cheap. It's basically a $50 plus game. Off and on, I had a hard time getting it, and they were able to get it. They told me that they found it. And also for my birthday / anniversary, because it's also my anniversary, my girlfriend got me Teddy Boy for the Sega Master System complete. Oh man, this is another game from my youth that I used to like playing. Believe it or not, with this Teddy Boy, with this Sega card, this completes all of the Sega card games that are for the Sega Master System. I'm also planning to do a video on these because these were games that I used to kind of love to have. But yeah, Teddy Boy, fun platformer. Now, speaking of these guys again, I got Trolls and Troll Island for the NES, the unlicensed game. A game that I used to own back in my youth when I was a kid, but then gave up on it because it was super hard. I actually beat it this last weekend. It is extremely difficult. It gets easy, then it starts getting harder. Basically, this is a redo of a game from the same company. I forgot the name of the game. But they redid it with just the troll images, and being that I'm a fan of trolls, you know, got these troll games. Interesting game though. Game that's becoming expensive to own. It's not expensive yet, but it's getting there. And I picked up, again, I used to own this when I was a kid, Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle. Really fun game, very similar to the Game Boy version of it. But this one has more levels than, I believe. This one has less levels. Either one of them has more levels, but very interesting and fun game. Very fun platformer. It gets difficult, but not impossible. But speaking of impossibles, this is another NES game that I got. You know, this is a game that I used to buy, that I used to have when I was a kid. I had it complete in a box. It used to be everywhere in the flea market, but now it's becoming a game that over the time it's become more expensive, and that is Wall Street Kid for the NES. Got it with the manual. I got it for a really good price with the manual. Believe it or not, I believe that this game with the manual and all that can go as a game that's expensive to own. But I'll tell you this, this game is basically like an RPG, but it's basically about stocks. The whole point is that you inherited this bunch of money from your long lost uncle. However, he wants to prove that you're able, before you get the inheritance, you have to prove that you're able to hold your own doing business moves and playing the stock game. Very hard game. I could never ever beat the first month, which is the first level. Eventually I played it again many years later, and I beat it. Used cheats, I believe. But I think it's one of those games that even with cheats it's still hard, but it helps out to have them. But thought because I have more knowledge of the stock and accounting, because I'm more accounting savvy now than I used to be when I was a kid, you know, I thought that it would be easy, but it wasn't. But I got it because this is a game that's memorable. Speaking of birthday, another game that I got for my birthday from my girlfriend that I love. I'm playing this one right now, you guys. Whoa, Hamburglar. That is WWE 2K22. Really fun game. I really like it. I'm already early. I just started playing it this last weekend. I'm doing the story mode where you build your own character, and you go as far as you select choices, and every choice you make will get you a fight with a superstar or a trainee and whatnot. Really fun game. I'm beginning to really like this one. I also like the other one, the WWE Battleground, or I forgot the name, the one that came out before that one during the COVID. That one's fun too. That was more of an arcade style game. This one's more strategy wise. Plus, they say they brought back the for this one they brought back the manager mode that it hasn't been seen since back in the days. So yeah. Moving right along, this weekend I went to, well, not this weekend, but the weekend before, I went to the San Jose flea market, and I found myself a couple of games. First off, another repro, got it super cheap. Mega Man, the Wily Wars for the Genesis. Used to own the original. Really fun game. It's the first 3 Mega Man games in one, plus the Wily Tower. Really fun game. Expensive to own nowadays, but it's a high quality repro because it read it on my Retron 5 and it read it as the game. Actually, believe it or not, they were selling it for 15 bucks. I told the guy, this is a repro, do you want 13? He actually said, I'll give it to you for 12, man. I don't want to. He was very honest, you know. So I got it for 12 bucks. Then I got this one. He sold me this one for a little bit more expensive. Cobra Triangle for the NES. I used to play this one in the arcade. It's a fun shooter. But yeah, this one I decided to get it, and I bought it with him along with this one, and he gave me a good deal. So all in all, very cool guy in the flea market at San Jose, that he's there all the time. That's where I bought my 3DS from him, and to this day it was good. Then I found this one lying around for like a couple of bucks. I got California Games for the NES, a game that I've never really played, but I always wanted to play ever since I had the Sega Master System. So it has a lot of different games in one, so looking forward to this one. And then finally, another Game Boy game, the Smurfs, for the Game Boy. Got this one for a decent price. Can't say that I got it cheaper or not, but yeah, I got me a couple of Game Boy games. And then finally, the last little batch, that I got myself a couple of games when I went to the during the weekday. I went to my local thrift store, and believe it or not, they had a bunch of NES and SNES games. However, I did find something really interesting there, but they were all like sports related games. And the first one I got is Baseball Simulator 1000 for the Super Nintendo. Ooh, and I didn't realize it's a Culture Brain game. Very interesting company, by the way. And this is a game that I've known about since I was a kid. So yeah, and it's baseball, so it's all good. Next, another baseball game. Now I got all of them for the NES, and that's Bases Loaded 3. Never played Bases Loaded 3. I played part 1 and 2, but not 3. So this one, interesting. I don't think it's anything different or aside from the game. And then I found this basketball game. I had forgotten about this one. And this one's Ultimate Basketball for the NES. You know, got it for I got these for about $6 each. So it wasn't that bad of a deal. So yeah, and then my son found this one, and I'm like, dude, I gave him mad props to my son Logan. In the CD section, I always look because sometimes there's been PlayStation 1 games there, other games that are CD based that they don't know that they're games. Got this one, he found it. I found 2 cases of 2 Dreamcast games. First one was a golf game, but the game wasn't in there. The second one was Trick Style for the Sega Dreamcast. Yeah, he found it. And I'm like, dude, you found it, right? And he searched, and we were looking. Well, first he found the other one that had no game. He said, help me find it. And he found this one. So got this one for $1.99, and it's in good shape. So yeah, more to add to the my Dreamcast collection. I'm trying to get a bunch of these Dreamcast games, even though you can play burnt copies. Well, in my system you can without any modification. I still want to get some originals. And then I ordered this one that I got for a really good deal, Robocop versus the Terminator for the SNES. This is a game that I played for a while, never beat it though, never owned it, but I always wanted to own because it combines Robocop and Terminator. Wish they made a movie out of this, but they never did. But the game is awesome. Each version, the Genesis version, is a little different. It's more arcade style than this one. I mean, this one's also arcade, but it's a little bit more in depth. But I decided to get this version because that's the one that I played. And then got this one for a super good deal for less than 10, or like $10. And this is Adventure Time Pirates of the Enchiridion. Enchiridion. Yeah. This is now this completes all my Adventure Time games that I own. I think I own all of them, spanning from the 3DS to the PS4. Yeah, so this one looks very interesting. My son kind of enjoyed that I got that one. And then finally, now as you guys know, every birthday I always try to get a rare game, like a limited run game, a super rare game, from those companies, right? SGR, I forgot the other one, but anywho, I did find one, but it didn't arrive on time for me to put it on the video. But I did get this one, but then I kind of, you know, and it's super epic for the Switch. Now this is a limited run game. However, I'm confused because I thought it came with a book, and I guess it didn't. I kind of jumped in too soon. There was a version that was brand new, and I thought this was brand new, but it wasn't. It was used, but like new. And I could have bought it brand new for almost the same price that I paid for it, but it's okay. This is a Metroidvania side-scroller that looked very interesting when I saw it. But the other one that I got, it's from SGR SRG Super Rare Games. And that one's gonna be brand new, and it's a game that's a limited release. And ever since, you know, I had my bad issues with buying a couple of games that took forever to arrive from the company, I decided to just look for them online and just pay some money for them, because they kind of, some of them, if I go back and I look, they're going for about similar price. But then one of the games that I own that came, The Messenger, for example, for the Switch, that one is worth a lot of money, and I remember buying it direct from the company for really cheap. So I lucked out with that one. But anyways, that was my March 2022 game, my game haul. Hope you guys enjoy it. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace out.